So I was Michelangelo, the artistic flow coming from STL. The legendary shows, I knew I'd be a star, but little did I know it wouldn't be from bars. See, that's the big league, the radar online. I wasn't the undefeated, but I still was gon' shine. I took a few L's, took them shots like Pop, but then I got my weight up like Jason Whitlock. Pivot like Brian Clark, skipping Bailey, Shannon Sharp. Don't have to scream like Stephen A to get my point across. Climb Jamel Hills, won carry championships. They were quick to pull the gun, hoping Rob would quit. But 15 years later, Rob still the shit. Rob still legit. Rob still on everyone's pound for pound list. Rob is courtside, Rob is ringside. Catch Rob outside at the 50-yard line. Don't act surprised, Rob is a winner. George Steinbrenner cooking up these headlines. What you want for dinner? The Black Sports Center, you know who I be. Triple OG, the Ohio State University. That's who reps me. I'm love for a friend. I just murdered this track, call that a dead spin. The headline king is back. This is a Mark Duper Dolphins throwback. Super duper. You guys don't know nothing about those 80s Dolphins with Duper, Clayton, Dan Marino. There's a lot of Jerry Curl juice and isotona gloves going on back then. It's headlines with Robert Littal. We have a lot to talk about. Very interesting day in the world of sports and entertainment. Starting with Charissa Thompson, Fox Sports. Fox Sports sideline reporter. I believe she was on one of the Barstool podcasts, and she admitted, for not the first time, but the second time, that if the coach won't talk to her at halftime or before the game or whatever it may be, she just makes up the quotes. She just makes them up. She laughed it off. Said, ha ha! She just makes up the quotes. Just figures out what she thinks is good to say, and she says them, even though they're not real. And she attributes them to the coach or the player or whoever she's supposed to talk to. Now, you have two train of thoughts that is going on as I look at the social media hemisphere, the social media continent. I see two train of thoughts. The one train of thought is that nobody cares about sideline reporters. So who cares if she's making up quotes? Because no one is at home saying, I can't wait to hear what Charissa Thompson has to say at halftime of a game. Most of us are watching the red zone anyway. And so this is not a big deal. Nobody knows. Everybody's blowing it out of proportion and whatnot. The second school of thought is, of course, people feeling like, what can they trust in the media if the media themselves are telling you that they just make up stuff. And then you also had a quote that I saw yesterday. It was on First Take. I saw a video. They were talking about the difference between speaking about Josh Allen turnovers and Dak Prescott's turnovers. And Stephen A. Smith just came right out and said it. Said, we talk about Josh Allen turnovers, then people are going to basically turn the channel. But if we talk about Dak Prescott's turnovers, we're going to get better ratings, better engagement. We're not trying to be fair. We're not trying to be unbiased. We're trying to get eyes on our show. So that's why we don't maybe criticize Josh Allen as much or other players as much that we do as a Cowboys or a Lakers or Duke or Yankees or whatever it may be. Because we have to criticize and we have to make up stories that is going to get people to watch the show. Well, I have a couple of more train choo-choo of thoughts as well. And I know people are not going to like this. I know. But yes, there is a racial component to this. Because you cannot tell me if Pam Oliver came out and said that, she just making up reports that she would still have a job by Friday. You can't tell me that. You can't tell me that. It's very frustrating for Black people in media who have to scratch and claw and often work 2 times as hard as their white counterparts to get jobs that we're only a very small minority of, only to see someone flippantly go on a podcast and say they're not even doing the work. That's frustrating. That's frustrating. You actually see, and it's not even just racial, because you see other white women on social media right now, and they're upset too. They're like, we scratching and clawing, and people don't take us seriously because we're a woman in media. And then you have a woman basically saying, I don't even really have to do my job. They upset about it too. It's that component of it. That's what's making people upset. I took a quick look. Normally, I don't count people's money, but Charissa Thompson makes $700,000 a year. Let me repeat that: $700,000 a year. Now, I don't know what else she does with Fox, FS1. Maybe there are some other things that I'm not aware of. The thing that people are aware that she does is sideline reporting. So let's say the reason that she makes $700,000 a year is to do 2 or 3 or 4 sideline reports for a football game. The least you can do is not make up your quotes. You make it over $500,000 to do basically one job. One job. And it's not even a full, it's not like you're not the play-by-play guy. You're not the analyst. You're just the person that gets a quote at the beginning, gets a quote in the middle, and gets an interview at the end. The total amount of time that you're working a game, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of, you got to do it. You talk to the team, and you talk to the coaches, and you do a lot of prep work. I'm not saying that it's not work involved. I'm just saying the total amount of time during the game is about 5 minutes. I mean, that's a pretty good gig. If you told anybody in the world, hey, you can make $700,000 a year, your only job is to ask the players a couple of questions, talk to some coaches, get an interview. You're Fox, so they can't really not talk to you. Everything is set up for you. You're not a beat reporter that's on the grind. You see what I'm saying? $700,000. It's insulting to people to be flippant about the fact that you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. And it's not helping the stereotype that if you're a white blonde woman in America, you can pretty much get away with anything. Anything and everything. And you can cry wolf. And you get falsely accused. And you get $700,000 jobs without actually having to do the work. That's like you're in college, right? And you got a final coming up, or you had a final 2 years ago or something, and you stole the answers or cheated. And then you go on somebody's podcast and say, yeah, I got a master's degree from whatever university, but when I didn't know the answers, I just got it from somebody else. I just took the test. I already had the answers. I didn't study. Why would I study? I got a master's degree now. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's so many, in the grand scheme of things, not a huge deal. But when you kind of look at it from a bigger picture perspective, it's crazy. $700,000 just to ask questions at halftime? And you can't even do that? You have a situation here where media in 2023 can't be trusted. It can't be. And it's not that it can't be trusted because somebody's doing some special investigations or anything. They're literally telling you they can't be trusted. They're literally I made up quotes. You literally have somebody like Big Perk gets his reports from Ball Sack Sports and then goes on ESPN and say, I got a source. You got the hot take and said The reason we talk about the Cowboys more than we talk about somebody else is because more people care about the Cowboys. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It doesn't matter if what we're saying makes any sense. We just want to talk about them and make up narratives because that's what people talk about. They want to talk about LeBron. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it. We don't care if whatever we're saying is true. Skip Bayless has made a whole career out of that. Like 90% of the stuff that he says about LeBron doesn't make any sense at all. It's just for engagement. Everything's wrestling. This is not, this is when I went to the Ohio State University and I got my journalist degree. I always find this very interesting. I've always been the way that I am. That should be noted. I think we all grow up, we all get better, we make mistakes, we become better people and all that great stuff. But at your core, you're always who you are, right? And when I was in college, the way that I am and the way that the colorful way, let's say, that I wanted to report on things was frowned upon. I was told I would never be successful because that's not journalism. Journalism is behind the scenes. You're not the star. You report facts, not fictions. You want facts, not feelings. You're unbiased. You're not a fan. You don't cheer in the press box. That's what I was told. That was drilled into me. And in reality, some of these things, even 20 years later, even though a lot of stuff has changed and a lot more media is like I was at Ohio State than not, there are still things today that when it happens, I get annoyed by it because it was drilled into me like I was in the army. When I'm at a boxing press conference and they start clapping, that triggers me. You don't clap for who you're covering. You don't clap. You don't clap in the press box. You're not fans. I'm not your friend. I'm the media. It's my job to tell the truth. Now, those are things that have stood with me forever. So it's funny to me because I see things now, and your most famous media people, the ones that make the most money, are the ones that telling you that they're just doing stuff just so you watch. They're not trying to be unbiased. They're not trying to be fair. They're not trying to break news. No. They just want you to watch. It's entertainment. It's the WWE, AEW. Everything is wrestling. Everything is wrestling. That's why you got Lil Wayne and rappers and all these people on the shows now. That's why the one of the number one podcasts is Cameron and Mace. If I told my journalism professor 20 years ago, say in 20 years, more people would be watching Cameron and Mace than the Sports Center. And what? From the Dipset? For Puffy and Puff Daddy? Which we're going to get to in a second. He laughed at me. And that's where we're at. She's probably not going to get punished because she works for Fox. I mean, these are the same people that employ Clay Travis and Urban Meyer. I don't expect anything to happen. She's white and blonde. When have you ever known a white blonde to get punished for anything? For anything. You go to a women's prison, see how many white blonde women are in there. It's not a lot. But it's just what I've been telling you. And I've been telling you this for about 10 years now. Since I had a voice to tell you, I've been telling you which way the media is going to go. I've been telling you how people are going to manipulate things. I told you how people are going to try to take other people down. I told you how social media was going to care less about the facts, about what's real, and just how can they go viral? How can your normal person go viral? You ever seen somebody on social media say, yeah, we know this is fake, but we got to get these jokes off? Nobody cares about what's real. They don't really care about people. All they care about is they gotta get those jokes off. How can I get my Facebook post to go viral? How can I get my TikTok to get picked up by the New York Post? How can I get more likes on my Facebook? How can I get Elon to give me an extra $5 on Twitter? That's media right now. $700,000 to not do your job. That's a beautiful thing. That's the American dream, I assume. $700,000 and has the audacity to go on a podcast that is listened to. I think it was a Big Cat and them. So listen to millions of people and laugh and say, I just make up shit. That's insane. That's insane. Not surprising, but insane. Oh my God, nigga. Diddy. Diddy. Puff Daddy. I still call him Puff. I got a copy of the lawsuit here that Cassie has filed against Sean Combs. And is Cassie still married? And if it looks like I got lazy, I'm looking at the lawsuit. Because it keeps calling her Miss Ventura. And did she get married a couple of years ago and got a couple of kids? Is she divorced? Or just in the lawsuit, they just prefer to call her Miss instead of Mrs. I don't know. But this is it's a 35-page lawsuit. I'm not gonna read. I don't have time to read 35 pages. My daughter wants to go to the park, so I don't have time. It's boxing is coming up, good NFL games coming up. I don't have time to read 35 pages, but I did. I did go over some of it, and some of it is quite insane. Quite insane. I'm just going to read a couple of parts to it. I think the most. Before I even start reading the parts, let me just tell you the gist of what Cassie is saying. Essentially, she said that she was groomed. That Diddy got her when he was, I think, 37, when she was 19. If you know, Cassie was Ryan Leslie, the producer. Then he sings too and everything. He found Cassie when she was a kid. He produced "It's Me and You." Oh, it's me and you. You know the song. I can't sing, but that's my. When you get old, you just start singing, and you don't even care what people think. It's me and you. Oh, just me and you. I would put it on here, but I get copyright strike by YouTube. But after Ryan Leslie found her, at some point Diddy found her and was like, "I gotta have her," whatever thing. Signed her to Bad Boy. The first crazy part of the lawsuit, she was in a 10-album deal. I don't know why would anybody think they want to see Cassie for 10 albums is crazy. Basically, that's like a lifetime deal. Unless you NBA young boy, you're not getting out of a 10 fight deal. So I'm gonna put some of the stuff on the screen for you to read. Well, I'm gonna try. We'll see. If it doesn't show up, that means I had no time to do it. But some of this stuff is quite crazy. I think the one that most people are talking about is how Diddy tried to blow up Kid Cudi. Let me see if I can read that part where he tried to blow up Kid Cudi. But let me see. There's some other stuff in here it's a lot. I would say go read it if you have time. It's some very interesting reading material. But I just want to get to a couple of parts that I found very, very, very interesting. Where's the Kid Cudi part? Maybe something before then. Essentially, why I'm looking over this again is according to her, Puff basically, he paid for everything. Our houses, cars, clothes. She wasn't she didn't have any money of her own. And Puff just handled everything. I guess she looks at it as taking control over her. Some stuff about Suge Knight in here as well. He was getting ready to, try to shoot Suge Knight at a male's drive-in. What is this one? It says Miss Ventura was exposed to the intense violence that pervaded Mr. Combs' rise to fame. For example, on one occasion when Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura was using drugs together in his home, one of his security staff barged in and announced that Suge Knight, a longtime rival of Mr. Combs, was spotted at a male's drive-in diner in Los Angeles. Mr. Combs began to get dressed, retrieved multiple guns from a safe, and ran out of his home to where he believed Mr. Knight was dining. Miss Ventura became terrified and began to cry. So I guess Puff was going to try to kill Suge at some point. This is crazy stuff that's going on here. What else we got going on? Let me see. He said, let's see. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Mr. Combs began to call, wait a minute. The first time Mr. Combs hired a man and brought the man to his home in Los Angeles, that man, Mr. Combs, and Miss Ventura were masquerade masking and ingested drugs. Mr. Combs directed Miss Ventura to perform sexual acts with this man while Mr. Combs watched him. He masturbated while he directed Miss Ventura and the man to do specific sexual acts. Mr. Combs began to call this arrangement a freak off, or FO. He would repeatedly tell Miss Ventura at random moments that he wanted to F off, and Miss Ventura was eventually expected to facilitate the location and hiring of male sex workers. Okay. They did something in the Trump International, according to this. Ms. Ventura eventually instructed to use websites and escort service to find male sex workers to participate in FOs. Mr. Combs told Ms. Ventura to search for large black penises on the website. I'm not surprised by that. Ms. Ventura was required to dress up in lingerie for an FO, and Mr. Combs insisted she wear white nail polish to contrast her nails with the skin of the black men he hired to have sex with her. During the FO, Mr. Combs would instruct Ms. Ventura to pour excessive amounts of oil all over herself. Mr. Combs would then instruct Ms. Ventura and the sex workers to speak to each other, and then would specifically tell Ms. Ventura where to touch the sex workers. Mr. Combs would say things like, "Grab that big black dick," and ask, "How does it feel?" as he directed her to perform on him. All right. Okay. That sounds plausible. I'll be honest with you. That stuff, well, pretty much anything with Diddy sounds plausible. I'll be honest. And here's stuff about Kid Cudi. It says in 2011, during a rough patch in Mr. Combs and Miss Ventura's relationship, Miss Ventura had a brief relationship with musician Kid Cudi. When Mr. Combs returned from a trip, he demanded another FO from Miss Ventura. She acquiesced. I like that word, acquiesced. During this FO, Mr. Combs found Miss Ventura's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. Mr. Combs became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunge at Miss Ventura. Miss Ventura ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Mr. Combs' wrath. Soon after, one of Mr. Combs' staff members told Miss Ventura that he needed to just talk to Mr. Combs, even though Mr. Combs was enraged. Feeling like she could not escape Mr. Combs and his networks of enforcers, Miss Ventura returned to Mr. Combs. He said he hit her several times and then kicked her in the back as she tried to run for the door. In February of 2012, during Paris Fashion Week, Mr. Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Kid Cudi's car, and that he wanted to ensure that Kid Cudi was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, Kid Cudi's car exploded in his driveway. Kid Cudi's publicist or someone speaking for Kid Cudi said this is all true. So what we have here is a situation where Cassie is saying that she had to deal with years of abuse from Diddy. Diddy essentially is saying that this is blackmail, that she wanted $50 million to not do a tell-all book. Cassie lawyers said that Diddy offered them 8 figures that they turned down, and that she just wanted to get her story out. What do you think? What do you think about this? Hollywood, and when you're as rich as Diddy, a lot of this stuff seems very plausible. I'm going to be honest with you. This is not kind of the first time we've heard some weird stuff about Diddy. and some of the things that he's kind of into. The question, begs, while this is going on, does this equate to something where someone should get paid millions of dollars while it was going on? Is this a lawsuit? Some of this stuff is criminal, but either the statute of limitations are passed or she just doesn't want to make a criminal thing. I mean, the rape accusation, the beatings. She says she has video of this. Of course, I think what Diddy's going to say is that never happened, and any of the freaky stuff that she's claiming that she consented to, or she was an active participant. Same thing with the drugs and the alcohol. At the beginning of the lawsuit, she points out that she had a boyfriend, and Diddy, who we believe is Ryan Leslie, and Diddy kind of made his way around it. Her whole point is she felt like she had to do all of these things for a music career, for fear, and all of this stuff. It's a slippery slope, I must say. It's a very slippery slope, and I don't know. I don't know how it's all gonna work out. The problem with stuff like this, just like what we talked about with media, you can't trust social media to kind of look at this from a reasonable eye. You're gonna have people who are fans of Diddy, who love Diddy, who love Bad Boy, who's gonna say that she's a gold digger, that she just wants money. She's broke now. Music career is not going well. Maybe her husband put her up to this. She wanted to this. She didn't have to date him. She didn't have to, be with the sex worker. She didn't have to take the drugs. She could have left at any time, et cetera, et cetera. On the flip side, you're obviously going to have people that are going to want Diddy arrested, that is going to, call them all type of names and 100% believe this exactly how everything went down. Whereas we found out with most stuff like this, is the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. In the middle is, I mean, it's clear by some of this how specific some of these things are that they actually happen. One gets, I guess, the question that people are going to ask is if she knew the flip side of that is that she was getting all this money, she was getting houses, she was getting cars, she was famous, she was going to all these events, she was going on these luxury vacations. Is that something that she wanted? And therefore, that's why she did some of these things that on paper, it's like, why would you do that? There's no answer to that. The only people, well, in this case, besides Diddy and her, I'm sure there are a few other people that know. And I would like to hear from those other people. If there are people, that work with Diddy, who are friends with Cassie, friends with Diddy, that aren't like affiliated, don't feel like that they are by saying anything they're in any type of danger or anything like that. Because the man is allegedly blowing up cars. I like to hear what they say. I always like to hear third parties in this. That's always a good way to figure out who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. What do the third parties say? How the third parties treated in this type of situation? But we have to see. We have to see. This is gonna. Yeah. This it's Thursday. I get the feeling. Normally, I say this type of stuff blows over and stuff, but yeah, I don't think this is gonna blow over anytime soon. We'll see how Diddy tries to combat this. Last thing before I'm out of here. Hold on. Actually, TMZ had the ring footage of Kelly Aubrey Jr. after he allegedly got hit by the car coming into the house, and they asked my friend Michael Babcock, how did they get the footage? Because that was a question that a lot of people have. How in the world would TMZ have personal ring footage of something like that? And people were saying that they hacked it, all this stuff. But the facts are, and Michael said this when he was being interviewed, I think by the local news, is that something like that they have to get permission from. And it's not unusual for an athlete or an entertainer or an actor or an actress that, maybe there's some sort of controversy going on to provide footage to TMZ before they even provide footage to the cops or the lawyers or whatever it may be. Because let's be honest, TMZ, for whatever you think, they do show both sides for the most part. So you're going to get more eyes on it if TMZ is putting it out there. And you're going to get maybe a little bit less pushback. And let me just give you an example of something like this. Let's say there's some sort of domestic squabble, right? And ESPN is going to be very careful about how they report that. Be very careful about what they put out there. It's just the way they are. It's Disney owned. It's just the way it be. But let's say an athlete or an entertainer or whatever is trying to clear his name, and maybe he has some video that can help him clear his name, or some video that clears up some things that people have questioned about, especially if he's being accused of something or she's being accused of something. They may send it to TMZ because they know TMZ is going to run it. Hell, in this case, they may send it to academics at this rate. But they work. TMZ works. It's not a is not by accident that they get certain footage. It's they have eyes and ears everywhere. The TMZ stands for the 30-mile zone. That part of like LA, they got that on lock from the airports, the hospitals, the courthouse, police stations, and everything. That's on lock. And a lot of times you have to look at it like this. I want you to look at it like this. If you are a nurse, right, or law enforcement or something, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I'm just letting you know. Let's say you make $60,000, $70,000 a year, right? And you have a piece of video or a piece of photos or something that you think are worthwhile, and you can double your salary in just 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, I know a lot of people would say they wouldn't do it, but a lot of people say that they would do it. You know what I mean? A lot of people say they would do it. A lot of people say they wouldn't do it. You get what I'm saying? If you could double your salary overnight, you got a picture or something. Remember the Ray Rice video? I believe that was the hotel security video. Hotel security making $40,000 a year. And I don't know how much they paid, but I bet you it was more than that. So you have people that like, look, it's Christmas is coming up. Thanksgiving, you got bills. Somebody's sick in your household. You need a new roof. It's easy to kind of judge sitting back. So I would never do that. I would never do that. But if your mortgage is coming up, you got 3 kids, and you don't know where the money comes, your boy wants a PlayStation, your little girl wants a pink bike, and you're sitting on something, and it's anonymous, and it can never be traced back to you, and you getting offered, 6 figures, 5 figures. I mean, maybe you wouldn't do it. Maybe you would. You tell me. What would you do in that situation? What would you do in that situation? And like I said, this is like a situation where Aubrey Jr.'s people basically gave him the video to try to point out, because the first thing he says when he gets in the house is, I got hit by a car. Now, there's no reason. Well, there's one reason I could think that he would lie to the person that he's talking to. But in general, if you don't know that you're being recorded and you just walk in and say you got hit by a car, you normally got hit by a car. Unless, like I said, there's only one other reason I can see him coming home, walking in there with his lady and telling her something that's not true. I think you could figure that out for yourself. But in general, yeah, I mean, if like I've never paid for a scoop, mainly because I have no money. I've never paid. I get stuff all the time that says, $500, $1,000, give me $1,000, give me 10, like all that stuff that you've heard about Dwight Howard recently. And I've known that stuff for years. People have been trying to give me that stuff for years. But they want to get paid for it. I just don't believe in it. I'd rather just keep my money in my pocket. It's like paying for a stripper. It's like, what's the point? What's the point? I'm going to get the same amount of views if I post it 2 minutes after whoever you sell it to. You know what I'm saying? I don't make the same, but I keep the money in my pocket. But yeah, I mean, if you're willing to pay, if you got millions of dollars and your outlet is known for and is dependent on breaking news before anybody else, sometimes even the police, sometimes the family members, if that's your job, then you gotta, you can't just you gotta break it off. You gotta look at it's like it's bad. If I pay 50, but I make 500 off the story, and I'm talking about K. If I pay 50K, but I make 500K off the story, that's net profits is what we're talking about here. Not the gross, the net. If I pay 100 and I make 1 million, yeah, man, you gotta think about it like that. Good night tonight of boxing on ESPN, and then you have the good Thursday night football game on Prime. I don't know if Charissa Thompson is going to be doing the the sideline reporting for that. Follow me on Twitter at BSO. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel BSO TV. We're on TikTok, Robert Littal BSO, Instagram BSO TV, Facebook Black Sports Online. What a day. What a day.